These are my vampire crabs. What began as a dozen has multiplied far beyond my wildest imagination, but it wasn't always that way. 8 months ago, I created an ambitious home for them. A paludarium featuring tiered land areas, waterfalls flowing between the levels, and an intricate hardscape that seamlessly connects it all. The ultimate goal was to create numerous sheltered caves where these elusive creatures could thrive in the shadows. This all worked so well, in fact, that I hardly saw the crabs in the months following their introduction. Even though they were hidden, they were busy. Things began to change when babies emerged. First in small numbers, but soon the rocky crevices were teeming with life. That trend has continued, and now they're everywhere. I wanted to get to the bottom of this and had to know just how much their numbers have increased. They're incredibly elusive, so it's not like they just crawl out and let me count them up. To find out, I had to take a closer look, perform much needed maintenance, and devise a plan to get an accurate count. Join me on this journey as we discover more about these vampire crabs. Now before I do anything, I actually want to take a quick look in here just to get a baseline of what exactly is happening. At first glance, the tank appeared desolate, but a closer inspection revealed that crabs were everywhere, especially on the right side. Some were tucked away in crevices, while others hid in plain sight or foraged for food. These were all younger crabs though. Where were the adults? From what I could tell, many were roosting in the forest above. There had to be countless crabs here. I noticed even more in the waterfalls as I looked toward the bottom. A tiny one even picked at my finger for a snack. I managed to coax it out because I wanted to illustrate how small they can be, and I've seen them much smaller than this. None of that surprised me, but what did was how many inhabited the waters with the ember tetras. They typically submerge when molting, and here are the remains from that process. Isn't it amazing how well they move on land and underwater? I also noticed legs behind this seed pod and couldn't resist seeing who was there. This one was much larger than the other two. Keep in mind that that's what I was able to find with just a quick glance at the tank. The reality is that many of the other areas where they could be hiding, we actually can't see just by looking at the tank. It's behind all this rock work and waterfalls, where I'd imagine that the vast majority of crabs actually are. This environment has definitely evolved over time, with some changes for the better and others for the worse. The most notable issue is the stark contrast between the left and right sides of the setup. The plants on the left are overgrown and need a trim. Meanwhile, the right side is very sparse. I typically observe the tank at night when the crabs are mostly active, and I didn't realize the right light had burnt out. As a result, the plants here struggled to thrive. Replacing the lights has helped, but I'd be able to balance it out better during maintenance. The excessive plant growth combined with the lack of light on the right and the height of the enclosure created another issue. The moss never really took off. While the crabs may have been nibbling on it too, I don't think that was the leading cause. On the plus side, the Süßwassertong has thrived in its place, which looks incredible, and the crabs love foraging through it. This story continues in the water feature as well. Unfortunately, most of the crypts didn't make it. They thrive in minimal light, so I don't think that was the issue. Their foliage is delicate in comparison to Anubias, which is still going, but what remains shows some damage, so my guess is that they were likely eaten. The leaf litter needs to be replenished, as all that remains is a layer of detritus at the bottom. However, this isn't a bad thing. The animals enjoy picking through it. What about the snails and isopods? Although a few tiny snails remain, it's safe to assume the majority have become crab food. I rarely see isopods, and I'm sure they've been hunted as well, but they spend most of their time underground, so chances are there's many tucked away from view. All that's to say that this enclosure needs some serious maintenance to look its best. And as you can see, there's a lot that needs to be done, like replenishing botanicals, rearranging a few things, and trimming and redistributing the plants. I think that's the best place to start because them blocking the light is hindering how well we can view everything else. I also have some containers here for plants and crabs both large and small if I'm able to round them up. I honestly wasn't sure where to start. I knew the plants here were dense, but I seriously underestimated what that really meant. Since I planned to reuse the cuttings, I tried to trim off the longest sections possible. I was also very cautious with my movements because I didn't want to harm any of the crabs in the process. However, as it would turn out, I didn't need to be careful at all. Despite seeing crabs in the plants earlier, none were present, not a single one. That said, there was some activity on the platform below. A few were busy snacking on the stems. The Paludarium vines were clumped together in this area, which turned out to be a big win. I was able to stretch them out to fill in more of the canopy. If there's any doubt about just how densely packed this was, I ended up filling an entire container with trimmings. Before I could replant some of them, I had to clean up the mess I made because debris was scattered everywhere. Luckily, I wasn't alone. A few of the crabs stepped up to give me a helping hand. This one was putting in the work to dismantle this leaf as best as it could. I was honestly impressed by its efforts because it was extremely small. Meanwhile, another played with the stem that had fallen into the water. Obviously, I have no idea what goes through their little minds, if anything, but I'm always amazed by how alert, articulate, and seemingly curious they appear. I ended up with far more plants than I'd need to spruce this up. I added a few here or there to create more surface area and coverage. As I did, I noticed a crab enjoying the relocated Paludarium. Although I don't care for the look of excessive photonia, they did help the overall appearance of the enclosure. I prefer to have more solid green foliage than anything, but this is what I had to work with. Even so, I still had a lot of plants left over, so I combined them into pots to propagate for future builds. That meant it was finally ready for new leaf litter. These leaves significantly improved the appearance of the water feature along with the few seed pods. I also placed some in the caves where they'll become food for the creatures and provide more surface area for territories. I had originally planned to collect and count the crabs when I was doing maintenance. There was a change of plan though, because once I started going through the plants and didn't find anything, I figured I should just do things a different way. Now of course, as I'm talking, there's one in there right now, go figure. Now it would have been much easier to do all of this before because there was less plants, less botanicals, and less hiding places. I think I have a solution though. Food is usually a great way to lure animals out of hiding, and while I wasn't sure if it would work here, I figured it was worth a shot. I scattered nuggets around the setup and anxiously waited to see what would happen next. In no time, crabs began appearing from the rocky crevices as the scent of food filled the air. A pair of young ones stuck together, while a slightly older one lingered near its home by the waterfall. I'm always amazed at how well they blend in with their surroundings, especially when they're this small. Crabs of all sizes found and peacefully enjoyed the banquet I set before them. This was just on land though. One near the water's edge sat still in stark contrast to what was happening below. Numerous crabs scoured the landscape in search of these tasty morsels. There were far more here than I originally expected. However, on a grand scale, I had a feeling this was just a fraction of them. Even with the lure of food, I only managed to locate 19 crabs. While that's more than the original 12, I knew most of the story was missing. I've seen much more on many occasions when caring for this setup day to day. They were just hiding in places I couldn't see, and if I had any chance to get a better picture, I'd have to take a different approach. That's why I got this borescope. It has an articulating head with a light on the tip that I can use to observe the crabs through this screen. It won't give me a definitive answer, but it will get me one step closer to discovering the secrets they're hiding from me in the shadows. Alright, let's send this thing on its maiden voyage. We got one. I saw this one up here. Oh, there's two of them in there. Pretty cool. I gotta pause this real quick because when I was editing the video, I noticed another leg flailing in the background, so we can add another crab to the counter. I thought I saw one over here. Oh, yep. That guy up here is still in the plant. This is pretty cool. I could see this having a lot more applications than just this. Oh, there's this one right in front of my face. Only problem is this exposes all of the foam and stuff like that that you typically wouldn't see, but that's alright. Here's a little one right here. What's up, buddy? Oh, there's one. See it right in the middle. I searched the plants again expecting to find more this time, but it seemed they weren't as drawn to this spot as I was led to believe. Regardless, it was cool to get a look at the roots that play a huge role in filtering the water. The top right of the falls was also empty. I was beginning to wonder where everyone was until I started checking the caves. Check it out, there's one right up front here. There's even like a medium-sized one here on the bark. Look at this little one. Whoa, check out this one in the seed pod. Now that's cool. It's so hard to, oh, I think I see, yep, who's this? I see someone, yep. See the leg right there? Oh, hello. Don't mean to disturb you. Oh, another one. That's crazy. Oh, there's one right in the back. Let's take a look in this cave next. I feel like there has to be quite a few. There's one. That was a pretty big one. I find it interesting how much more active the little ones are, or how more likely they are to be out and about, whereas most of the adults are hidden away. Oh, another one. Right there. It's a smaller one. It's not the same one. Okay, I don't want to disturb them too much, so we'll say 2 up there. Here's another one that just popped out. Cool. Whoa! Look at this one. It's beautiful. Oh, another one. Wow, this must be the hot spot. Those were 2 adults just right here in the same spot. Oh, another one. Man. Wow. There's one right there to the right. What's up, buddy? Oh, there's another one right there. Oh, hello. I was not expecting that. Sometimes it's the simple things in life that bring the most joy. I never would have expected to have this much fun hunting for crabs with a tiny camera. It felt like every time I looked into a new cave, I was about to make a huge discovery, and in many cases I did. Seeing everything from a crab's eye view was fascinating. It gave me a true sense of how many crevices there are for them to hide in. It's no wonder that even the adults can be so elusive, because they have this thing colonized like ants. This got me intrigued about the water feature itself, especially since I had already found so many crabs there. It didn't disappoint. They were scavenging across every bit of space, and I don't know about you, but viewing it through this lens made me feel like I was observing a deep sea environment. Unsurprisingly, I came across the remains of several molts as I completed this expedition. I knew vampire crabs were prolific, but I didn't expect them to quadruple in less than a year. I've counted 48 so far, but I'm certain there are over 60, though we'll never know in this setup. While I've enjoyed having them in here, I've decided not to keep it going for reasons I'll explain later. Just know that I'm already working on a larger and better home for them, and when the transfer occurs, we can get an exact count. That'll probably be in 3 to 4 months, so their numbers will increase before then. My guess is 93. What's yours? I'll shout out your comment in that video if you get close. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment to support what I'm doing. I've linked up the original build and another video you'll enjoy. Thanks for watching, Serpa Squad. Take care and peace.